first story is titled, Am I the a-hole for reporting my daughter's pediatrician for giving medical information to my mom without consent? To start, I, female 35, have been in no contact with my mom for over a year for many things she did. My daughter is diabetic. She's 4. I handle her treatment, and I used to let mom handle babysitting since she wanted to. However, she started getting involved in my daughter's treatment, and there were incidents where she took away insulin from my daughter and lied about it till my husband found out. She has always been against the medical recommendations and tried to keep my daughter's treatment away from her. We stopped letting her babysit after my daughter went to the ER because of her. We went no contact for 2 months, and my mom went nuts and turned everyone against us. CPS were then called on us by her. After my sister told me it was her, my husband ended up sending her a cease and desist letter, and a restraining order might be considered if she escalates. Now we're being careful. I took my daughter to a new doctor since she's suffering from lung problems. He's my friend's husband, but my friend recommended his practice. We really thought nothing of it. We've been visiting him for 3 weeks now, and we have no issues up until yesterday. A family member called to berate me for not telling them about my daughter's pneumonia, and that her condition was worsening. I asked how they knew, and they said my mom was visiting my daughter's doctor and he told her. I was in shock. They said she knew which practice it was via a friend of hers. I was livid. I went straight to my daughter's doctor and confronted him. He didn't react. He didn't even deny it. He confirmed my mom came at X time the next day and he gave her medical information about my daughter's condition. I lashed out at him and told him he shouldn't have done that. He said my mom was concerned about her granddaughter and just wanted to know about her condition. I let him know I will be reporting him for his violation. Then my friend defended him, saying that I'm overreacting and needed to calm down. I insisted. Then I left. Our mutual friends heard about the argument and told me that my relationship with my friend of 10 years will be over if I report her husband. Said this is not the way to deal with it, but I just couldn't let this go. They said I should just let my daughter be seen by another doctor and let this go. Now for the top comments. Not an a-hole. Dear God, report him. That's a big HIPAA violation. He gave out a minor's private medical information to someone who was not listed on her documents as being okay to tell. It doesn't matter if grandma's word, she's not on the list. Doesn't matter he's married to her friend, he violated HIPAA and huge code of ethics. Find a new doctor for her, stat. Yes, I'm arranging for my daughter to see another doctor. Everyone is telling me to just stop taking my daughter to him and not try to cause damage to my relationship with my friend by insisting on reporting him. They mostly blamed my mom and me, and said that I shouldn't get others involved in my family conflicts. Not a a-hole. The doctor involved himself in family conflicts. Not you. Definitely report him. He needs to learn to not do this again. Holy Batman. NTA, 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 NTA. HIPAA violations are a serious crime. Jail time and huge fines, not to include the loss of a license. Report the hell out of him. Do not give him another chance. Find a new doctor and fill them in immediately about who they are allowed to give information to. Yeah, especially because he was so nonchalant about it all and didn't apologize for the breach. He should have had his spidey sense tingle though. Like, why is grandma asking me and not getting it from the parents? Not a a-hole. What makes this truly egregious is if this has been a friend of yours for 10 years, presumably. They're aware of the situation with your mother. Even saying the husband may not be aware, he shouldn't have given third-party information, and when you confronted him, it seems like he was basically saying, yeah, so what? No big deal. That's why he needs to be reported. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for not letting it go and still expecting an apology from my mother-in-law? Husband and I have a 10-month-old. Baby got sick at 2 months old, so we told everyone that we would be limiting contact and not allowing others to hold him for the time being. My mother-in-law lost her mind. Claimed I was keeping her grandson from her and never let her hold him. She had held him several times in his 2 months of life, and we had photo proof, and basically cried a whole river to my husband over it, and made me seem like a monster was out to get her. It caused the huge fights between me and my husband, until he realized she was exaggerating and straight up lying. He contacted her and told her that me and him are a team. We won't budge on this. No one is to hold him until we deem it safe. And he called her out on her lies, and told her she owes us an apology for the way she acted. Her response? Have a nice life. She didn't speak to us for 4 months straight. I reached out a few times about going by to get my husband's mail, obviously bringing a little one with me, and she'd either not respond or just say on mailbox and leave it at that. I would have had no issue letting her come to the car to see the baby, but she never asked, and I admittedly didn't push it because I was mad. She also turned his entire family against us. Not a single member of his family bothered to get our side of the story, and just stopped speaking to us. No one reached out to ask how the baby was for 4 months. Suddenly, she sends a text that, "This is stupid, we need to move past this," because she misses her son and her grandson, leaving me out of it, of course. Husband told her that he wants to move past it too, but we want an apology for how she reacted to us setting a simple boundary, and it needs to be addressed to me as well. She said that in no way will she apologize because she did nothing wrong and has nothing to apologize for. Husband told her in that case we can't move past it. She responded by threatening to sue us for grandparent rights for a child she has not tried to contact in 4 months and doesn't know her at all. Sister-in-law and an aunt-in-law both contacted us saying nasty things about how we are just using the baby as a pawn to make mother-in-law miserable. My significant other and I both agreed we wanted to go full no contact with his family, but we let them know we left a line of communication open via text if they decide to move forward with the GPR issue. It's been 4 months since that, and mother-in-law occasionally sends holiday cards to the little wanted husband and purposely leaves me out of them, but otherwise none of them have tried to contact us. My entire issue is that even if mother-in-law was mad at us because she couldn't hold him, she still could have been FaceTiming or doing socially distanced visits with us to see the baby. Same goes for the rest of his family. She recently contacted my mom asking how to fix it. My mom told me and husband that we need to just get over it and forgive her, despite her lack of apology. I'm of the belief that she's a grown woman and she should know how to A. respect boundaries, and B. apologize when someone tells her she's done something wrong. My husband agrees. Am I the a-hole for still wanting an apology? Not the a-hole. If you let her have her way after all that has happened, 4 months, family against y'all, exaggeration, you're letting her know that it's okay to do that, and that in the end, she will get her way. Y'all would be reinforcing that behavior, and you may encounter it again in the future. It's unfortunate that it went that far. I'm not so sure if making her apologize will really fix anything. She might not even know what she's apologizing for, despite it being obvious to you or others. That is my exact thought process. After all of this, the least she could do is apologize. And if she gets away with the behaviors without doing so, she's going to think it's okay to act that way in the future. Also, it's been 8 months at this point. I know that part is a little confusing. And yeah, honestly, for me, an apology won't do anything at this point. Before she threatened grandparents' rights, I may have been able to move past it. But pulling that card when all she has to do is say sorry was enough for me. At this point, the apology would just be nice. But it won't change much, at least for me. I know my husband wants to hear it too, and I told him it's his choice if he wants to forgive them and have a relationship with them. So for anyone who's saying you should just move past it, you should present a story of a child who has been throwing tantrums, crying and lying, threatening people when they don't get their way. Maybe list some other general examples of what she's done, then ask them how they'd handle it. See what their answer is. See if they say the child should be disciplined in some way and expect an apology. You can respond that if a child is expected to act better and apologize, then why is it different when the same behavior is coming from mother-in-law? Not an a-hole. Firstly, it's great to read you and your husband are on the same page about this and are supporting each other. Secondly, what a ridiculous person your mother-in-law is. Your child was sick at an incredibly young age, and she not only made your reasonable request of limiting contact all about her, she turned the family against you and had everyone gang up on you. The fact no one even checked in with you about how the baby was doing shows they don't care and are petty, selfish people. You absolutely have the right to an apology. If you were to get one, she'd unlikely mean it, and it's not going to undo any hurt, but it's the principle of the matter and also the fact that if you let it slide, she'll think this behavior was acceptable. Sorry you've been having to deal with all this drama whilst looking after a newborn. Not a a-hole. She knows how to fix it. All she has to do is apologize. Her calling your mom and asking her how to fix it is a disgusting manipulative tactic she's using to try and turn your own family against you. If I was you, I would be done with her. Period. Apology or no. Frankly, even if she apologizes, She clearly has a grudge against you now. That wouldn't be surprised if she tries to come at you in the future about something else once she's back in your life. I'm glad others see it. I was genuinely starting to feel crazy about it because my mom is constantly telling me I need to just let it go. I couldn't fit it in the post, but twice now my mother-in-law has contacted my mother. Once 4 months ago, and then again recently asking how we can fix this. Ma'am, where are you getting "we" from? It's you. Say sorry. She doesn't get it, and I don't believe she will anymore. That's why for me, although I want the apology, it won't mean blind forgiveness. I don't think it will for my husband either, but he's a lot more willing to repair the relationship if she does. And that's fine. I won't stand in his way. He understands my hesitation. Next story. Am I the a-hole for withholding my baby from my mom? I'll admit that title makes me sound like a monster. My husband and I have a 15-month-old son. We never planned on having more kids, as we already have 2 boys, both currently in high school. My only sibling also have 2 kids, who are also both in high school. So a new baby was a big deal to everyone. I live 30 minutes away from my mother, and although our relationship isn't a great one, I figured I'd be seeing her a lot. Well, the baby arrived with quite a traumatic entry, so we restricted hospital visits so I could recover and not play host. My mom was unhappy with that, as I didn't let her new husband in to see the baby at the hospital. Honestly, zero desire for someone I didn't know very well to see me in an adult diaper and a sports bra and nothing else. So right after, she kind of avoided us because she had hurt feelings. Then she was sick for a few weeks and couldn't see him. Then the pandemic started. All in all, she didn't see him from when he was a couple months old until he was 7 or 8 months old. After that, when she did see him, it's because I've gone to her house. I honestly got tired of trying to push the relationship, so I quit taking him out there often. Anytime she brings up how long it's been she saw him, I remind her that she's more than welcome to come to our house anytime she wants. My husband and I both work full-time. She only works part-time. She's retired, so I feel like her driving out isn't asking too much. The last time she came out to visit him was for his 1st birthday. Since then, I've taken him to her house once. Now she's guilting me about how he doesn't know who she is, and she's upset that she never sees him. Should I be making more of an effort again? Am I the a-hole for not making sure he sees his grandparents often? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You are not withholding your baby from your mom. You're allowing her to see the child. Your mother is the one not wanting to put any effort into building a relationship. Many of my friends have children whose only contact with their grandparents over the last year has been FaceTime. If she can't be bothered to come to you, maybe she can at least talk over the internet? Honestly, these days, people's feelings are so easily hurt. And those people don't realize that everyone has feelings. But some of us are adults about it. Not a-hole. You're not withholding your baby. She's choosing not to engage in playing the victim. Not a-hole. Complaining about a problem you can easily solve is your own fault. She's choosing not to visit. That's her decision. And she doesn't get to see your grandchild because she doesn't visit. That's your consequence. You have nothing to feel guilty about. Her choices are her own. Not a-hole. You have 3 kids and both of you work full-time. The 2 of you don't have the time, or the energy, to be providing on-demand visits of the baby. Relationships work both ways. She's perfectly capable of getting off her asinine posterior and coming to your house if she wants to see the baby. She's an adult and is perfectly capable of making an effort on her own part to get to know the baby. You and your husband are completely in the clear. Feel free to tell your mother to grow up and stop being so self-centered. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter that she needs to get a real job or move out? My daughter, 24 female, had to move back in with me and my wife 3 months ago. She used to live in her own apartment since she was 19, but unfortunate events caused her to terminate her lease. Anyways, she's studying at a close-by university and working on her thesis. She's also employed as an assistant, and they pay her on an hourly basis, so she has to document her hours. But they only give her her salary at the end of each semester, which is basically a moderate lump sum. But the fact that she's not receiving a monthly income means that she's not able to pay me rent in due time. I get that she's still studying, and that she's my daughter, but I can't have a grown adult woman stay in my house rent-free. So the other day, I brought up the topic, and she said that she's trying her best, but that she's overwhelmed as is, juggling her assistant work and her studies. I was sort of annoyed at this, and told her that her assistant work isn't a real job, that her hours is lenient, and that she needs to get a real job to cover her monthly rent, or that she has to move out. She started crying, and said that it is a real job, and that the lump sum will be just enough to cover her rent and her student loan debt. But I'm still not eager to sit and wait for her on her rent. My wife overheard the conversation, and she's really upset with me now. She said that I'm insensitive. My wife is usually at home, and she said that she can tell my daughter is overwhelmed. Apparently, she's working till early hours in the morning and only been getting an average 4 to 5 hours of sleep since she moved in with us. She has to submit her thesis soon, which is a major deadline, a month from now. My wife said it's not like she's loafing or wasting her time doing nothing or playing video games. My wife also told me that my daughter's assistant work is a real job, and she often works extra hours. Sometimes she'll get called in for nonsensical reasons, but that she never heard my daughter complain about it, but that her exhaustion is quite obvious. Well, apparently it's not that obvious. If it was, why didn't I pick up on it? But my wife is ignoring me now, and I'm starting to wonder, am I the a-hole here? You're the a-hole. You didn't pick up on it because you are an insensitive a-hole who sees his daughter as a money source and not his child. And honestly, if you don't pull your head from that dark hole it's in, then you'll be lucky to even have a daughter or wife. My favorite response to date. Honestly, I'm 64, and my 99-year-old mother would frickin' be thrilled if there was any way she could help me out. And if it meant me moving in with her so she could see me more, I can't imagine anything making her happier. Unless OP is seriously in trouble financially, I can't even imagine acting like this as a parent. Yeah, you're the a-hole big time. I was expecting to read about some deadbeat daughter who can't be bothered to work or study at all. But it sounds like your daughter is doing her best, and her best seems pretty f***ing good. And you should be proud of her, not degrade her and her work. You should be ashamed of yourself. Unless that money's all that's keeping you from the homeless shelter, you should really shut your mouth about it. Oh, and exhaustion and burnout is pretty noticeable if you pay attention to someone at all. Especially someone you live with. Sounds like you need to really examine your attitude. You're the a-hole. A thesis by itself is a full-time job, and it sounds like her assistant work is full-time hours on top of that. She's likely working harder than you ever have. He posted and deleted a comment saying, "When I was her age, I was already out of the house and in a steady relationship, but I never went to university like her. She's definitely working harder than he did at her age.